Right, that makes sense.
So we're gonna go around the panel. We'll start with Charles. Go ahead and guess that
So,
price guide.
can I ask a question? Is there a deep cameo in the
No,
population?
not
No,
to
So
my
there's
this
knowledge.
is
not.
No,
this is this is finest known.
to my knowledge, yeah.
Okay, 195,000.
So
Charles,
we're guessing NGC guide and PC guide, or how's
just
this work
whatever.
out?
They're very very similar. It's just gonna be
Okay.
the person who's closest because
All right, let's
it's
do
gonna
it.
Which
be
I will
cut.
say, the concern between you and Charles on the NGC and PCGS price guide, alluding to the discrepancy between both price guide is a little. Why would they have if they both have this
We
coin?
can
Why?
Look,
unpack that.
they just
Yeah,
make
we'll
up
unpack
those
that another
those
day.
numbers are
But
made up. It don't really mean anything anymore.
Oh, that's a
Anyway,
bomb. That's a
oh
bomb. Let's
man,
unpack that. Let's unpack
Uh,
that.
well,
let's
Kurt,
unpack it
first,
after
yeah.
the segment's over. We can unpack it. But Charles, you said 195.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 195. I mean, it's finest known. If there's people bidding at that, probably bump it up to maybe. I for sure it breaks six figures.
Okay, Kurt, what are your thoughts?
I'll take the over. With it being no UCAMs, I'll do 260. 260,000.
Okay, and Jeff, what's your guess?
Well, since I started out with 2.5 million and now I'm last to go, I'm gonna go with 300,000 to be on the safe side.
Wow.
All right, so
But I'd say something like this should be like $1 million coin. I mean, getting a coin that is over 140 years old, and one grade away from perfect is pretty absurd.
You have a 1921 that looks just like that. Hopefully, maybe I can sell, or 2021 rather. I mean,
Yeah,
But
right.
to
2021 that looks just like that.
the
okay, so for this episode of Guess That Guide, the correct pricing info is NGC has these guided at 200,000, and PCGS has it at 205,000. So that makes Charles our winner for this
Nice.
week. 1 point to Charles. We'll bring another coin next week, and maybe if you guys would rather me go off of Gray Sheet or some other pricing structure,
no,
let us know in the comments
No,
below.
it's perfect.
It's
Yeah, that's
fine.
perfect.
PCGS price guide is good.
Okay. Well, cool. I think that was fun. I think that worked pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
learned
I'm glad
something
to see
new.
on this one that the NGC and PCGS price guide are pretty congruent here.
Yeah.
That that's
This one actually was it gained value on the PCGS price guide last week by 5,000. So they were right together.
Wow.
But
Wait,
yeah.
is there an auction comp on there? Did that sell at auction, that coin, or?
I don't have that info in front of me right now, but I'll have the links to both of the NGC and PCGS page in the description below for this coin.
With coins that rare, now I used to know the guy who did this, but I don't know the person doing it anymore. But if with a coin that rare and in terms of grade, where there's only one graded or a few graded and they haven't sold for a while, they I'm sure they do their best with ones in lower grades that have sold recently, or maybe coins of another date with comparable rarity that have sold. They do a good job. Even if a coin hasn't sold recently, they can get a good range on market value, which is pretty impressive.
And not only that, though, but just a table on top of what Kurt was saying. The craziest part, and I'm sure, Charles, you can give some input being in the auction field is in your backyard. When you have a registry coin like this, or for a high-end Morgan collector,
Oh
there
yeah,
really
yeah,
is no real
huge.
price guide. I mean, if you
Right.
get two
No,
people
no,
that have the top two collections in a registry collection, it's
yeah,
kind of just a battle of the wallets at that point. You could see
right,
that coin easily go in an
100%.
auction for double what you see, triple, quadruple. I mean, it really just depends when, where, and who are the two people or more sitting down and willing to battle.
100%, Jeff. You're spot on with that, dude. Because I'll tell you, that's what I meant when I said the price guide's sort of irrelevant anymore on a coin, especially on a coin like that. Like when it's a top pop coin like that, a really high end Morgan dollar proof, that's a PF 69. Oh my God. Like you're
Yeah,
right. It's just a
but
battle of wallets at that point. Who wants it more and where are they willing to give up on it?
absolutely.
Very interesting stuff. We will have another one of those next week ready to go. I don't know. I might want to take some viewer suggestions if anybody has ideas, but I want to make sure that these guys don't know what the coin is before we go in. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do that, but we'll figure it out. I want to move on quickly to our precious metals report. There's a couple of interesting things happening in the bullion world, but we'll go ahead and just look at the prices as of Wednesday, August 13th at 1:15 p.m. This is off of the Kitco website here. Gold right now is at $33.58.70. Silver's at $38.58. Anyone who cares about platinum, $13.45. Palladium's $11.46, and rhodium's at $72.50. So I did have a quick question. We'll get into the Switzerland tariff debacle in just a moment, but I wanted to ask a newbie question before we get into that. When you are on the, let me pull it up, like they showed prices for like the London market and the world market and the New York market, and I'm just wondering like what, if any, is the difference between those?
Well, I mean, just to start off,
Other
it'd
than
probably
location.
be, yeah, the currency, right? Like, obviously,
Okay.
the currency valued is different. So, Canadian dollars would be way more than US dollars for gold. But
Sure.
Right. Well, the London market is more the LMB. That's like where they fix the price of gold every day, the London market. And then that,
Right.
depending upon where that New York opens, and then they have communication with each other. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but the majority of gold moves via the OTC markets. So what happens is these large banks have counterparty agreements with each other, and they actually trade the price of gold over the phone. So it'd be like me calling Jeff and saying, "Hey, do you want 10,000 ounces? Here's the price I can make for you today. Does this work for you? Yeah, okay, that works for me," or whatever, or make it 2 cents higher or lower. And then they literally fix the price, and then the markets go down based on that. And that's how the spot price reflects the OTC market and also the futures market, which is
papers.
COMEX. It's like, it's
It's
predicting
incredible how it
the
works.
futures market. Like, a lot of times, a lot of people use the futures market to hedge large positions in the gold market.
And futures, just because I genuinely don't know. Like what does it mean?
So you're predicting the
What
future
is a future?
value of what you think the gold price is going to be like. Right now, they have
Okay,
different
yeah, that makes
different
sense.
months out the curve. So I could buy December gold right now,
Okay.
and there's a price for that. The COMEX will make a market for December gold. It should make a market in September gold. And I think with gold, it might even be every month, but I'm not sure. But in the equities, it's quarterly typically.
I thought it was
Interesting.
quarterly for gold too, but I would be, not surprised if it was every month. That's a really good breakdown of it, Charles. I mean, it's
Mhm.
incredible to think that people were trading in international markets before we even had the internet, before we had cell phones.
Oh yeah, oh
Telegraphs,
yeah,
one of the first things they were used for was gold and other commodities trading because that information needs to be to the second. And the margins, when we talk about, when you go to a coin shop or a gold buyer and we're talking about dollars back and dollars front of spot, when you're trading 10,000 ounces of gold, I've never, but I've heard conversations where it is every penny counts. You have guys arguing over 2 cents, 3 cents,
yeah,
and it's really an
yeah.
incredible thing to
Well,
see
on
because their positions are hedged.
on lots of ounces like that, I mean, it makes a difference, right? As Jeff learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm only dealing with 300 plus
Yeah,
ounces
so
over
you
here with
Wow.
some
imagine
shit
like
bricks.
thousands of
So,
ounces of gold. I mean, and literally they do that every day. Imagine that. Like, imagine fixing the price of gold over the phone. Like, you just
yeah,
call
I
up
mean,
JP Morgan or
we had,
whatever and be like, "Oh, what do you want? How many ounces of silver are we going to move on the books today?" Like, they literally
yeah, it was nuts.
they
When we
Yeah,
did
with
that deal for that gold, it was crazy because gold had dropped like a day later for almost $100 an ounce, and I was like, oh
yeah.
man, like I know this isn't a bullion deal, but that was like $30,000 just boop in like a day. I was like,
Yeah, the swings are big. So,
that'll make you sweat.
yeah,
There's a
on it
famous photo, and I don't know if you guys ever have seen it, but it's a young, I believe it's a secretary, and she's changing the boards. It's like an old style board. I'll send it to Isaac so he can throw it up here. But it's an old style board, and she's setting the price for 20 libs, for sovereigns, for
yeah.
20
Yeah.
francs, for 100 francs. And that's how, I mean, it's incredible. I love the history of stuff like that. So it's really fascinating to learn
That's
more.
how it used to be. There was coin like certified coin exchange and stuff was just like a portal you would log in, and then they'd have bid sheets at one point and everything. And the early adopters were computers with the gold price had a huge advantage. So a family friend of ours, Steve Markoff, who started A-Mark Precious Metals back in the day, he started as a YN. This is a crazy story. He actually used to come into my grandfather's coin shop to buy coins, but he had the computer back when no one had a computer getting the spot price. I mean, you could imagine what an advantage that was when no one had the spot price. Like if a gold had dropped $15, he already knew the market had dropped $15 before most people would know that it dropped $15.
It's a huge
Yeah.
edge. That's why, I mean, you want to talk about Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg didn't make his fortune, without the technology. He when he was at Harvard, he got in trouble for installing a satellite in his dorm in the '70s to get the ticker tape instantly.
Yeah.
And his technology, the namesake, the Bloomberg terminal. I mean,
Oh,
they're $30,000 a year to
it's an
license. I mean, my school has some.
industry standard. Yeah.
So it's information's key, down to the second, the quicker. So when you get up to those numbers, yeah.
It is pretty crazy. I mean, I don't have the education nor the wits to understand anything Charles is talking about when you guys talk about those things. But it is crazy to think when you look back in time. Like, imagine for a second, Florida was still fighting the Civil War all the way to the beginning of 1860 or 1865. So even after the Civil War had ended, they were
Right.
still fighting the Civil War because they had no way of communication.
Right.
Just to touch back on that, like having different markets, like I could only imagine how someone traded gold in Georgia versus Florida,
Yeah.
in the 60s before the internet.
Yeah.
Like, how did you even know? Like, unless you like watched maybe a TV or radio station that kind of updated you on something like that, there was really no way to have like a to the penny. Like, how would you even do large transactions? I mean,
No, it was an efficient market, and there was fortunes to be made back then. That now,
yeah.
the
I mean,
markets are
and
so
as they did,
efficient. They're so efficient now.
I mean, if you like you said with A-Mark, same with Heritage, same with NGC, same with PCGS. I mean, literally all of these companies that are now a household name in numismatics were all just a couple of numismatic nerds like us that had our own companies, got together, had good conversation, had a couple good ideas, and started
Right.
something. Every one of them, just like you said, for A-Mark, which is literally probably one of the largest companies on the planet
Well,
for
Without
precious
a doubt.
metals,
Steve
off
has
as
always been very
All right,
smart.
I'm gonna have to cut in here. We're going kind of long on it. We kind of talked about how the amount of gold that you're dealing in has a big effect on like the amount of money, obviously, because each ounce is worth a certain amount. You have more ounces. There's more numbers being moved around, and that was sort of one of the big issues when people started getting reports last week that 100 ounce and kilo bars from Switzerland were going to be taxed at a rate of I think an extra
But I
10%, which
want to
was going
add
to.
one more thing too, because the amount of derivative products and precious metals, I believe, is a very high multiple of what exists in notional value of actual physical precious metals. So you got to understand, like the price of gold, you can move thousands. People are trading so much gold and silver, and then they never exchange hands with each other. So the, it's very hard to say what the market price like really truly reflects with gold as a physical asset, because imagine, as like whenever you can't just buy a gold American Eagle at spot, you have to pay a premium for it because you're buying the physical. Even if you win a contract at Comex, like if I right now I get on a Comex and
And real
I'm
quick for the
buying.
people that don't know, what is Comex,
That's
Charles?
the futures exchange. That's the exchange for all the biggest gold futures contracts. Comex is owned by CME Group, and that's the largest exchange, especially in the United States, for gold futures. So, and they have one big contract, and then they have a smaller contract, which I believe is like 32 or 36 ounces, something like that. But the main contract, the big, is 100 ounces of gold. So if I bought one futures contract and I let it go to expiry, and I wanted to take delivery of 100 ounces of gold, I would also have to pay additional fees to take delivery.
Right. And you get 100-ounce Comex bars, and you see those from time to time come up on the market from people that have taken delivery. So really cool. And with these new tariffs or taxes or whatever you want to call it coming from Switzerland, a lot of people that are used to buying gold in hand and having it physically are scared. So I want to hear more about this story.
Yeah. So there's been developments. The tariffs on gold were never actually explicitly put into law in any effective way. There was a letter sent by some U.S. department to the Customs Committee, kind of trying to verify the classification of those specific weights of gold bars from Switzerland. Trump actually came out last week with a tweet basically saying he's going to make an executive order in the coming weeks. Basically, gold will not be tariffed. The tweet is on screen right here.
I'm confident.
So
Yeah.
Which
from
honestly, if you want my opinion, we have the First Amendment to protect our right to speak. The Second Amendment to protect that right with the right to bear arms. I'm really disappointed that like stuff like this isn't almost like an American right. Like I mean, we should not. It should be incentivized to bring as much gold, silver, and precious metals as well as rare earth metals inside of the United States from everywhere else as much as humanly
Right.
possible. Like we
Right.
should want every American buying, like we should want them to be able to say whatever they want,
Mm-hmm.
have as many guns and bullets, and have enough gold to restart an economy if we needed to tomorrow, which theoretically happened in 1933. So I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, right, like, and which also leads to another topic. I mean, Florida of all people, just disbanded the tax on pretty much all bullion products now. So
Great.
the states are moving that way really quickly and starting to realize like this isn't something that should be taxed. To be a republic, to be a free nation, we need to be able to speak right our opinions, right? We need to be able to defend ourselves, and we need to be able to buy and sell and trade. And I mean, having our own tangible asset of money, not a fiat currency, I think is huge. I mean, this is this is magnitudes. I mean, there should be no problems. I agree, add all the tariffs and taxes to take it out of the United States, but to get it into the United States, it should be the easiest slope possible.
Mm.
For some context, the previous minimum requirement for the tax on bullion in Florida was $500. There will no longer be
Wow.
any limit.
That's
on
great.
Which for the common man who's bringing $1,000 to $2,000 a week home, $500 and below might be all that he has
To
to put
spend,
away a
yeah.
couple gram bars,
Yeah.
3 or 4 grams a month, or every other month. And so those taxes with those minimum purchase requirements, the only people they hurt are the common man. It doesn't hurt the big bullion dealers and the fat cats that trade 100x Comex bars in multitudes and millions of ounces. Those guys aren't
That's a
paying the
solid
tax.
point, Kurt.
Yeah.
It's people like you and I and the people watching this that are trying to convert U.S. dollars to physical currency, and who is this really benefiting, and who is this really hurting? We need to take a look at these laws. I know Washington just put some stuff in the books a few months ago where they reinstated a tax on bullion. So
Wow.
with another minimum exempt. So it's like these people they think they're it's great if you don't understand the markets and if you don't understand gold as an asset. You think, oh well, only Scrooge McDuck has gold. Well, no, you can buy gold today if you want to. It might be a half gram bar, might be a gram bar, but anyone watching this can buy gold today if they wanted to. And the fact that like the need and the right to have it easily accessible should be protected.
Absolutely.
And I will say another crazy part is, and I'm sure you guys can agree, the smaller the quantity and denomination of any precious metal, the larger the premium. So the more gold you buy, the smaller. So if you're buying $1 million deal of American Eagles or bullion, you're lucky to get a 0.5% or a quarter, right?
Right.
Versus if you're buying a 1 gram or half gram carded bar, you're going to pay 10, 12%. Same thing with like a 10th
Mm-hmm.
ounce American Gold Eagle
Yeah.
versus a 1 ounce
Right.
American Gold Eagle. Like you pay a higher premium the smaller you go. So to have to pay a higher premium and then a tax
Right.
on top of that
Exactly.
really does only hurt one
Yes.
demographic of people.
Yeah. It's so true. That's a great point, Jeff. That's like, because you are a small denominated gold. You're paying for, you're paying for a markup for the ability to for them to get that 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 little information on that tiny little coin. So you're paying that premium for cost, probably production costs, and then on top of that, a
Yeah, I mean,
9% or 8% tax, 7% some states still. It's a lot. It just all adds up. Imagine trying to buy gold and then you're at already at 17% premium.
yeah, that's absurd.
Taking money out of our wallets, out of your pockets when you buy
Yeah.
gold. Not the
Absolutely.
governments, not the futures traders, but the average Joe six pack. So not good.
When in reality it should be a tax write-off. If I'm buying gold and I'm holding on to it, that we should be
Mm,
incentivized. We
That'd be
should
cool.
benefit from doing something like that. I mean, we should, right? Like it only
That'd be
makes the United
ridiculous.
States stronger and more, you know, just a stronger nation overall. Being able to have something like that, like if the dollar is to go tomorrow, to think everyone we know would have no problem
right.
really, like most of the people I know have more money in coins and bullion than they do actual in their bank account. So I mean,
It's
most of
funny.
us would be able to continue like if bank accounts turn if we lost power tomorrow, most coin dealers would still be able to trade and make bills,
That's
right?
another
Because we
thing
have
people
that.
don't
So
talk about. That's another thing people don't talk about. So now banks are FDIC insured for up to $250,000, but any amount over that, any penny over that is not. It's between you and the bank.
That's right.
When
Yeah.
we see the lines of the Great Depression, they're not bread lines, or at least not later. First came the lines in front of the banks of people
Right.
trying to withdraw their savings that they had deposited their life's work into. And when the bank overextended itself, they closed their drawers, they closed their doors, and they went bust. Now you have hardworking Americans that have spent their entire lives saving because they grew up believing it was the right thing to do, watch their entire career vanish in one afternoon. That's why people like my grandfather and his generation, who grew up during those times and remember
Right.
when the banks turned their backs on America, hoarded their
yeah,
money.
and who's going to trust the
It's
government and the banks?
it's not uncommon that when people are doing a house renovation, they find money in gold coins from the 1930s and 40s. It happens every day
Yes.
because people could no longer trust the banks to keep them safe.
Well,
Now,
systems
of course,
fail.
I have money in a bank and I have gold, but I always keep that in mind because history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, right? Like that quote.
But do you have more in
So,
coins or do you have more in bank?
less in gold, more in coins, if you must know.
There you go.
Yeah,
So I have more in coins than me. So
yeah.
I definitely have more in coins and bullion than I do banks.
But I'm not a
We're 2 for
financial
2.
advisor. That's just the path that I've chosen for
Yeah.
myself.
It's personal
So
preference. It's
Disclaimer.
all what you feel comfortable with too. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's
but I mean, gold has matched the
that's
S&P 500 over the last what, like 30 to 50 years.
yeah,
So I mean,
it
sure.
we
has
also
no
have that
guarantee
notion
that it'll be
too.
like that next
While
year. But if history is any
no,
indicator,
It's our comfort level.
and while rare coins have doubled, tripled that magnitude. So it's just been
It's
incredible.
all our comfort level.
Well, some place with way more coins than money will be the ANA show in Oklahoma coming up in
right?
2 weeks. How's that for a little segue? It's the
Two
first ever
weeks, like,
time. Yeah, it's
isn't it
two
next
weeks.
week? Won't we
I
be
guess.
there
Oh,
next week? Yeah, we'll literally be there
Yeah,
in
it is.
6
yeah.
It is
days
next week.
for
Yeah.
us.
Sorry, I'm still
Someone,
discombobulated because we're also going to Dallas tomorrow
yeah,
to,
which is
to go to the
crazy.
Heritage
Oh
HQ.
wow.
We might talk about that in a second. But this is the first year that the 8A show is going to be at Oklahoma, the World Fair of Money. Over 1,200 dealers. I figured we could take this episode since we're kind of our next episode will be recorded at the show. So I figured we could take this episode to kind of walk through the show guide, kind of explain everything, give our takes on like our experience with these things as they happened last year, what we're excited about, and just kind of give like a overview for people who maybe haven't ever
And
been to the show or don't even
and
know what it
Isaac,
is.
I did have a quick starter question. I know all of us fly in on a different day. I was curious on what day you're flying in and why'd you make the decision to fly in on that specific day? Like for us, we fly in on Tuesday, which is dealer day. So we literally land, go right to the place, set up our coins, and then we're done. But I know some of you guys arrive a lot earlier than that. Charles?
The Monday, but I like to because it's the ANA. I always try and get in earlier, just because there's so much going on, and that's a That's one of the shows that I try to be there for the longest period of time. And you know, normally it's
Now,
not the
would you?
case. I'm getting in there like either the night before or the day of setup and then just doing it like that. But with this, I want to get in a day early.
What about you, Kurt?
With most ANAs, this is a show where a lot of wholesale trading and dealing goes on in back rooms and hotel suites. I'm sure, we've all been in one. I've been in hundreds of, huge hotel suites that have converted into a mini coin show with dealers from all over the country trading days before the show's open to the public. So, there's often times where I've traveled to a show and I leave before, the public's ever let into the bourse floor. And I don't think that's talked about a lot. I don't necessarily regard it as a trade secret. Obviously these coins have been bought and sold before, so it's not that much of a shocker. People want the first look um, at a first shot at a deal as a coveted asset.
Yeah, and to go off what Kurt is saying, not only have the pre-shows been so like famous, but also secretive. So much so that for the ANA, even Heritage itself is having an in Heritage, right? So in Heritage HQ, you could literally set up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then they bus you
Yeah.
from Heritage HQ to the ANA. So like the pre-shows are no
Well, because
joke.
it's
If you're a coin
also
deal,
too, it's
yes, sir.
easier to fly into Dallas. So it was really smart what they did.
Yeah,
They're close enough and they could just put everyone on the shuttle literally and drive them up there, which is cool. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean the pre-shows. I mean, I've never done those pre-shows, but I knew to ask because I know Charles and Kurt. I know from many shows beforehand, you
yeah.
guys talk about. I literally see you guys as I'm setting up our booth, and you guys are like, "I spent all my money, I'm leaving." Some people will even go to a secondary show for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if there is one going on, and try to
That's a
double
road
down. But
warrior right there. If you're
That's
doing
a
two shows, two road traveling shows in a week, I've done it before. It's a lot, but
now,
yeah, people do it.
realistically, before we move on, if you had to make a guess, Charles and Kurt, would you say more coins, right, are probably being traded before the show starts to the public or after the show opens to the public?
mm, oh, that's a good question. I don't know. There's a lot that goes on before
Quantity
the
or
show for
quality?
sure.
Quantity or
Maybe a little bit of
quality?
both.
Because I can't speak to the quantity. Obviously, public's buying a lot of coins, some high dollar, some not. But a lot of the freshest deals I've ever gotten in my entire life have been days
Pre-show, yeah.
before a public, you know. So I recommend, to anyone watching this who's not necessarily a coin dealer, who maybe is getting interested in this or has been interested in this as a hobby. If, we were friends and I was talking to you, I'd say get there as soon as you can. Because you never know, the one thing that you might be looking for could be sold an hour before you walk in. It's
Right.
just like a saying. It's a popular saying. I believe it's attributed to somewhere on Wall Street, but it's better to be a month early than a second late, right? And that's
Hmm.
exactly kind of the way I view a coin show.
Wow, that's
So
amazing. And I will touch on that. Like, it is really incredible to show up to the show, right? If you are looking to really kind of, just kind of invest yourself or collectible hobby, or you want to become a dealer, it is very beneficial to learn the local dealers in your areas, meet some friends, offer to work behind their booth for free, because, some of them will pay for you to come out there, and being able to get that dealer pass allows you to walk the floor on that Tuesday before anyone else can get in. A lot of shows will actually do an early bird pass, which will sometimes let you in on dealer day, and if not, it'll let you in an hour early the next day, which are usually a couple $100 over. I can't tell you how many coins that I bought from a dealer and then I sold to another dealer, and then like I sell it in a fourth dealer's booth by Friday, for an incredible amount more money. So it is extremely beneficial to try to get to the shows early, try to network with your local dealers. And if you're really serious about it, I mean, the ANA is the most expensive coin show, but for a basic booth in the back, I don't think it could cost more than like $600 to $800. In the budget section, probably even less. So if you're going to spend a lot of money, it doesn't hurt to be involved and be able to get there on the ground floor.
But let's go ahead and walk through a couple of specifics from the show guide. We don't have to hit everything, but first up is the educational seminars This is on page 26 of the show guide for those following along at home. I think these are going to be pretty cool for the young numismatists. They've got the Ernie Treasures Treehouse. They've got like games and stuff where you can win free coins and learn some stuff. They've also got the Young Collectors Coin Shop, which kind of or workshop, which is I believe sponsored by Scouting America and the Girl Scouts. So
That's awesome.
the kids can come and get their badges for fun with money and coin collecting.
I used to do that. I used to give talks. I lost track of the Scoutmaster since I've moved, but I'll give him a call soon. Thanks for the reminder. But I used to give those talks to the local Boy Scout troop to get them their coin collecting badge, and that was always a lot of fun. So
That's
planting
cool.
that seed and getting some rare coins in the hands of America's future. Planting that seed, years before they may even think about starting to collect coins. Maybe they'll remember it. Maybe they won't. But hey, at least we got to share our love and our passion with the next generation. Dozens, hundreds of people took the time with me to share what they know. You guys are sharing your passion and knowledge with me even today. So those young numismatist events are always so important to see at a coin show and always warms my heart.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's awesome. The main talks being presented by speakers that kind of, I believe the money talks are just like people who come with something to talk about and they bring it themselves. There's a couple of interesting talks happening. I'm going to try to get interviews with some of the presenters. There's a few, there's one on some early copper cents. There's a few about how like the evolution of the ANA metals and then the production process of the ANA metals for this year, because they are pretty special. And so there should be some very nice talks in there. Those go from Thursday to Friday, from 10 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. in room 201. And we'll take another look at the map in a little bit. We've got the Maynard Sundman and Littleton Coin Company lecture series, which are happening on Wednesday. That's the 20th, 10 a.m., 11:15 a.m., 2 p.m., and 3:15 p.m. in room 201. They're talking about how coins are sort of a mirror of culture, so that should be pretty interesting. And there is like a luncheon. It says reservation and fees are required. I've never done one of these. Have any of you guys ever done one of the lecture series where they go through like the whole day?
No.
Not at a show, no, but I've heard great things about them. You usually have a presenter that's done all the research, him or herself, themselves, and is very passionate about the topic and wants to share their what they've found with others. So if you're interested in a topic that you see, and you've already bought all the coins you want for that trip, I say, run at it. If the worst thing you get in a day is something you didn't know, you had a great day.
That's cool. The
So
ANA is a great organization. That's another thing. If someone's really seriously want to get into collecting, I do suggest you join the ANA and become a member.
100%,
It's very helpful.
100%. I got George to join.
Did you?
So
Nice.
yeah, Mr. George, he's
And I
a
will
ANA
say,
member.
not only join the ANA, but if you're ever going to do business inside this community, you should use the ANA as a source, because any real dealer is going to be a member of the American Numismatic Association. I know at Premier Royal Coins, we're lifetime members. We get all of our employees memberships. We support the ANA. I mean, we were literally just invited out there to do the Silk Road exhibit for YouTube, which is pretty crazy that Isaac's slowly releasing out right now, which is incredible footage. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're like, hey, I need to buy coins, like I need to know that I'm dealing with someone authentic, like go to the ANA. Like you'll see that they're a member of the ANA. They're in there. They have a dealer dictionary. All you got to do is type in your area code and it'll give you a handful of dealers around you. And that's a good place to start too. So on both sides, don't forget to be a member, give them your email, sign up for their stuff so you can get notified about current events. But also use them as a guide to know who you're buying from.
100%.
That's good.
Awesome. Yeah, the ANA is really cool. The ANA is very cool. They have a big emphasis on exhibiting and presenting coins in a way that's entertaining and kind of gives you a glimpse into the history of that time. On that same note, there are a handful of museum displays that will be set up at the World Fair of Money with some pretty notable items. One of the probably the most instantly recognizable for the layman is the $1 trillion note from Zimbabwe, which
Oh
is going
yeah.
to be
That's pretty cool.
presented. I think that comes straight from the A&A Museum. Doug Mudd is kind of helping set up, which I actually did just upload an interview with Doug Mudd, the curator of the A&A, ex-Smithsonian worker on the. He worked on the American Numismatic Collection at the Smithsonian. They also have.
Do we know how much a $1 trillion note is in USD?
Oh geez, like
I
20
don't know
bucks or
that.
something.
No.
I don't know. I genuinely.
Oh, it says when they were issued in 2009, it was only about $30
Wow.
each.
Yeah, that
$1 trillion.
tracks.
Well,
So,
if you want to be a trillionaire, it'll cost you $30.
well, everyone knows the solution to inflation is printing more money, right?
Of
Good
course, just
one,
make
Kurt.
the
Good
make the
one.
number bigger.
Just make more. Why not? Everyone can be rich.
Turkish millionaire.
So we talked about this a little bit a while ago, but now we've got the listing up here. The Tyrant exhibit with the ultra high relief 1907 double eagle. I don't know a whole ton about it other than it's just super unique and was like the first year issue, first attempt at the coin. I don't know if that's the only one. This is going to be your chance to go see it, I guess.
Well,
Yeah, I will say the lot viewings are pretty exceptional. What were you going to say, Kurt?
um, Isaac was bringing up the ultra high relief, and this is apocryphal knowledge, right? So this is stories passed down, but you have Augustus Saint Gaudens, right, of which the coin type is named after. He's a sculptor. He's a French sculptor, and when Teddy Roosevelt brought him on, he wanted to make America's coins more beautiful. He had a vendetta against Barber's coinage. He thought that they looked too plain. I know a lot of people that like them. I like them, but Teddy Roosevelt hated them. He thought they were the worst thing created since unsliced bread. So he writes this letter to St. Gaudens, please help me. Please make this country's coins beautiful. The French guy's sitting there and, he's, choking down cigarettes, and he goes over and he redesigns the $20 gold piece first. And the original idea is, I believe, that he was going to work down the denominations. So the 20, the 10, the 5, and so on, all the way down to the cent. So you have this sculptor that's used to working with, 3Ds in plasters and bronzes and these large sculptures. So he brings that artistic knowledge and mode to the coins themselves, right? So your first products of the Augustus St. Gaudens 20s are these amazingly high relief coins that look like a sculpture's walking towards you. And I have to say, as someone who's seen one of these coins in hand, it's a truly unique piece and instantly recognizable from the high reliefs and the standard production 20s that they made that year, right? So you only have a handful of these ultra high reliefs coming off before Charles Barber says, no, no, no. The director of the mint says the presses are breaking. It's way too slow. Production's going to be completely stalled by the relief. So let's lower it a little bit. They made, I believe, 30,000 high reliefs, but I could be wrong. The number could be even less. And already, the day that they were issued, they were selling at above face value. People were waiting outside the mint trying to get their hands on the new $20 design. And even when they adjusted it the first time, they needed to adjust it again, where you have the standard production 20s of 1907, 1908, and so
Well,
on.
not to cut you off, but a quick segue. Since people were waiting out line from the U.S. Mint to buy that coin, do you think people are going to be waiting out line the Perth Mint to buy that new SpongeBob coin?
Jeff, don't derail us from the A&A yet. That's my job.
I'm falling asleep with A&A. Sorry.
If we want to move to SpongeBob, we can, but
SpongeBob.
I don't even have the SpongeBob thing
The
linked.
St. Gaudens is an
SpongeBob
I didn't think
that's
it
an
SquarePants.
was.
iconic coin though. That's such an iconic coin.
SpongeBob. It really
The
is.
best. I mean, so many coin
The high
companies I
relief
know
too. I
have
mean, they
used it
couldn't
as
even
their
stack
logo.
them. It was ridiculous.
And think of the government push
Yeah.
behind that. You have the president, Teddy Roosevelt, pushing for all that. I mean, it's pretty an amazing story. I'm glad Kurt touched on that because there's a lot of truth to that. Teddy didn't like the Barber coin, the Barber series, and he didn't. He wanted something more feminine for the design of Lady Liberty also.
Yeah.
And it truly did set a precedent for all modern coins too. I mean, when you see the ultra high relief wedge tails and other coins that are coming out, I mean, we actually have an ultra high relief sunflower gold coin. I think we talked about that a little bit last week as
Great
well,
coin.
coming out
Great
Yeah,
soon.
coin.
that
So I
was a
mean,
cool
the
looking coin for sure.
yeah, I'm telling you right now, if you look online, they're already there's people trying to sell that coin at like $9,000.
Wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac. We looked at it yesterday. The U.S. Mint hasn't even released the. It says to be announced. It hasn't even
Yeah, they
released the
haven't.
retail price.
No, they
If
haven't.
and they're selling half-ounce coins at like $2,300. So we'll see how much they're on. I mean, at 3,400 gold, you got to assume that this coin's going to be close to 4,000. I mean, maybe over 4,000.
Yeah,
But right
no, I mean,
now,
I
the
wouldn't be
retail
shocked.
markets for FDI 70 are about $6,000.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
70s
crazy.
are gonna.
As of right now, 70s are $6,000 to $9,000.
I believe it. I have a
Crazy.
friend at one of the services who just, they're getting them in to get them into holders. They're grading them as we speak, right? Because,
That's CAC,
obviously
right? I think CAC just posted something.
oh, I wouldn't know about that, but I got to see a video of the coin itself, and it's a really impressive coin. I mean, the pinnacle of modern minting techniques. I'm gonna try to get my hands on one if they're not that expensive, but 6 to 9 thousand. I think I might have to sit
100%
it
gonna
out.
get one.
But yeah, that's a really cool piece.
This isn't investment advice, but this is definitely one of those coins where the market is showing that if you get this coin in the original box on the FDI overnight shipping from the U.S. Mint and don't open it, you could probably assume there's going to be a handful of dealer companies or eBay people where you'll be able to make a quick flip, in my opinion. Again, this isn't investment advice, but I can tell you right now, everyone on this podcast will probably be buying one at this rate. I mean, it is a beautiful coin. And I do think it's going to mimic what you saw with the flowing hair gold and silver coin, which, don't forget there is a silver version of this coin coming out too. Same thing with the flowing hair coins that came out a while back. So, those coins were released. What was that? Was that 23 or 24 those were released?
This was 2024. They released for 38.40, and 70's first day of issue right now are listed everywhere for 70 to
Yeah, I love those coins.
Exactly. And that's crazy because gold was like,
somewhere.
what, $2,400 back then, I think. So
I
Yeah.
just love that design.
that was considered me too, but that was considered an astronomically high premium coin.
I
Almost
remember
no
that.
one I know bought
Yeah.
one because they're like, that's too much to pay over
Really?
gold. That's almost a 50% markup. Yeah, because gold was like $2,400 at the time, and that's a
At the
$3,800
shows,
coin.
people were lined up to buy them.
They're lined up for them. So
I
that's
was
my
in
point.
that
Like, you
line.
don't go to the shows if you're not aware
You
of
were
these
Kurt
releases.
was there.
You don't
Yeah,
know.
that's right. I remember.
I got them too.
Huh?
But it's nuts that even raw ones sell for a lot of money now. So, if you wanted my opinion, buy or not buy, I would say buy. What about you, Kurt and Charles?
The sunflower you're talking about?
The sunflower, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty coin. I don't. For me, I think it's all preference too. Like me personally, I love the flowing hair design. So that
Oh, it's
Yeah,
I
great.
could
but
totally
take
see
preference out of it.
buying
Like
that.
seeing what the
Oh
seeing what
yeah,
the
I
flowing
mean
hair
there's
did, and
gonna
seeing what the market's
yeah.
responding. Like,
From a business perspective, I would be trying to get what I can, and then sending them off for grading and seeing if I could get any 70s coming back. Basically, getting them slabbed.
But you have modern releases where 69s are worth
From a
less than the
business
modern
perspective.
the release price for raw. That happens,
Oh,
it wouldn't be,
so,
it does
yeah.
happen.
So what's going to happen though? Yeah, but and here's the thing: the ones that don't make it in a year from now, you'll be. If you had to sell that coin, you'd be taking the price of gold.
I mean, if last year repeats itself this year, I think we need to be
It's
careful.
every like in the shops, like when you're in a local coin shop, you've seen so many like of these pieces that didn't make the 69s and all those coins that come in, and there's no market for a lot of people to really get any kind of premium out of that. So they're buying it based on their precious metals value in the resale market. Like
Right.
once the hype dies out. But the ones that do make it, they do hold their premiums, and then you could still get good premiums on it. I mean, look at the 96 American Eagle. It's continuously gone up.
You're dealing with a high floor here, So if you're, I
well,
don't.
I will bring up. I did just do a quick eBay search, and on August 4th, a Mint State 69 flowing hair silver coin sold for $260, and that's a 1 ounce silver coin that I think sold for like
That's
$100.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
That's
So
crazy.
you're looking at 160% markup a year later for a Min State 69 failed grade, and I'm seeing a lot of them even selling for like 250. And I will say, a Baltimore FDI first day of issue release, like you were saying, those coins were bringing, it looks like $5,000, 49,995. So I mean, if you bought it at $3,800 and you held on to it for a year and you got it certified, unfortunately you got a 69, you're still selling it for almost
Mm,
$1,000 over what you paid.
wow.
And this
Huh.
is what I'm finding on eBay. I mean, I'm even finding original paperwork in COA, so uncertified silver ones are selling at
So
above $200.
that's the
So
thing. Like the market is always changing. Who's to say, what happened 20 years ago? I mean, there might be some element of truth going forward, but the market is changing. I don't know. Like on a coin like this flowing hair issue, there's so much that seemed like there was so much passion behind it. Those may hold their value or increase in value over time. It just
I personally just think the U.S. Mint is one of those, untapped markets right now. To think that like they're making 7,500, like let's be realistic. If Kim Kardashian tomorrow somehow saw the U.S. Mint, saw the sunflower coin, was like, "Wow, I love sunflowers," and decided to post the U.S. Mint sunflower on her social media, 7,500 coins wouldn't exist a second.
mm,
That coin would be a $10,000-$15,000 coin overnight because no one would be able to get it. So I mean, 7,500 is a lot for coin people today that are just now getting on the internet. I mean, in my opinion, the coin world is 10, 15 years behind the rest of the planet. So I
that
mean,
seems like that's
for
what kind of
the
happened with
United
Pokemon.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
or
for the
Beanie
United
Babies
States
or anything.
government, right, one of the largest coin markets in the world, to make only 7,500 1-ounce gold coins of a particular design, I mean, it's kind of hard to assume something like that is going to fail, especially for the fact that, like we've talked on many podcasts before about our disdain for the U.S. Mint and their artistic appeals for creating new designs and creating new fixtures. So I mean, for me, like, what is another coin the U.S. Mint has come out with that's been gold that can really, I mean, what, the Superman coin, maybe the
So
Sacagawea gold coin. I mean, those are
they
the
only minted 7,000 of these sunflower coins.
I think the max is gonna be 7,500. Is that correct, Isaac? Did you have it up?
Wow.
The drop on this one's gonna be the 20. Oh, so sorry. Correction. It's not 7,500. It is not. It is 12,000 coins with a household limit of one. The price is not
12,000.
released yet, but they will be dropping the 21st. But even
Hmm.
still, 12,000. That's not a lot of coins. And if you consider 80% of them will probably grade 70, hopefully, you really only leave room for about
You
9,000
think
coins
80% of them will not grade 70, you mean?
will grade.
Will
Will
grade
grade. I
70.
mean, the U.S. Yeah, I mean, the U.S. Mint is strategically really good at minting coins. I mean,
Mm.
if the U.S. Mint has something that drops in
Uh-huh.
grading, usually, the rumors spread through the coin market pretty quickly, and coins will significantly skyrocket after that. And usually that doesn't happen because of the strike. That happens because of the mishandling of fulfillment of the U.S. Mint. So
Mm.
a lot of times, like the proof coins, because the regular coins, they come in rolls, they come in monster boxes, but proof coins come individually packaged. So if somehow they screw up on the individual package and they get to tumble around on the shipping process, that's usually where most of the coins, from my experience, have been damaged a little bit, or could hurt the grading effect. But for the
Interesting.
most part,
Uh,
the U.S. Mint for modern coins has a high
hmm.
success rate.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
happens there then if 80% of them are 70s?
The thing is, it's still not enough coins. It's still there. It's you're talking 8,000 coins for the entire planet to buy. I mean, that's crazy. Gold's almost worth more now than the flowing hair was released last year, and it was considered expensive.
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, there's more people coming into this collection, this hobby, more and
Well,
more.
that's the thing.
Lots of people don't even understand or even like grading, so they just buy them to hold them and
If
never
you're
see
in
them
it
again.
for the long run, for the long term, you're going to be okay for sure.
See, the pros and cons of this is when you allow an unlimited per household, you usually get a lot of the A marks and the bigger dealers that will buy up a lot of these and get them graded in bulk, which allows for direct access to the market. Versus when you allow one per household, usually you'll get a lot of more random people that are just that they like the product. So a lot of times what you'll see is these coins will go out and the price will skyrocket the next day. Because no one has them available besides a handful of dealers. So the price will go up. And then you'll see a 30-day lag where all of the random people that bought the onesies and twosies get their coins back from NGC and stuff and start posting them online. You'll see price go down a little bit. And then depending on the grade out and how many coins become available, usually will depend the leading market after that.
That's definitely right. Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I mean, I would definitely pick up this one. And I've said it a million times. I mean, the Army Privy was an absolute success. That coin in an FDI 70 right now is a $450 coin. The Laser Privy is already projected. Yeah, the Laser Privy is already projected to be a $400 coin to $450 coin in an FDI 70, which is a $100 coin. So, you could see a 3x on something like that if you get it into a 70 condition. An easy flip if you leave it in a box and sell it to a local coin dealer. And then obviously this coin coming up as well, which the Laser Privy and this one I think get released right around the same time. So when you're looking at coins, if you never bought modern coins, you don't know where to be. I mean, you can never get these coins really cheaper than what you're seeing them for now. Especially, let me correct that. Releases that are this hot, you usually won't see on the secondary market cheaper than what you can buy them from the US Mint. There are a lot of other releases, like you said before, Kurt, that you will see sometimes cheaper in 69s and stuff like that after the fact. But for the most part, for coins like this,
very cool.
Yeah, so I mean, with US Mint finally maybe sort of coming out with coins that are a little bit cooler. Kind of still feel like they're sort of lagging behind other major world mints, just like the Perth Mint, which just released a brand new Patrick silver-proof coin. This is what you guys wanted to talk about.
Well,
this is the new coin. I don't think it's super special compared to the other 3 that they made in 2024. And they have the cool proof 2-ounce one with the gilding, which is a little bit cooler in my opinion. But what do you want to say, Kurt?
I just want to comment on something. I hate to interrupt, but what you had said about lagging behind, the U.S. Mint's lagging behind. And, I feel like a lot of dealers and coin enthusiasts feel that way. It's hard for me not to myself when we hear about, Perth Mint and Niue and these island countries putting out top of the line product. But, just like with any large corporation or any large organization in general, a big ship is harder to steer. Right? I mean, we've all seen the red book numbers of the mintages of the penny and the nickel and the dime. I mean, these people are churning out hundreds and hundreds of millions of coins, billions of coins per year. So, they're a production facility first and foremost. And these promotional materials, although it's sizable publicity on a balance sheet, in terms of mintages, literally reads like a rounding error. Right? So it's hard to pivot all the time with the same personnel and same equipment. But they're catching up, just like you said. So they're catching up.
Yeah, and I do understand as well that I believe all coin designs that the U.S. Mint makes have to be passed through Congress. And so that's a whole other process.
It's a lengthy
if we
process.
Want cool designs to be pushed through, it's not really up to the U.S. Mint, really. Right. They have to be passed through legislation. So I get it.
If I'm not mistaken, the U.S. Mint technically isn't like the government. Isn't the U.S. Mint that we see at coin shows, aren't they a private entity?
No, that's the Federal Reserve, I believe.
Reserve is the private company that you think is the government. The U.S. Mint is part of the government.
The Fed is a private company, and then the U.S. Mint is definitely the government.
How'd they get away with that? Let's talk about Jekyll Island, 1910.
Well, they passed the Federal Reserve Act. I mean, it's the Fed is just.
I don't think we have time for Jekyll Island.
The Fed is owned by its member banks. It's owned. The Fed is owned by the banks, basically.
Right. That's another episode of the podcast. But SpongeBob coins.
You know what? Yeah, that's another episode. Let's go back to SpongeBob. Woo! woo, SpongeBob, they're hot. So this is the one I care about. This one came out in 2024. It's a 2-ounce gilded SpongeBob. It's maybe a little expensive. Their website is very slow. This is from the Perth Mint. This is Australia. They have partnerships with SpongeBob and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, we talked
The
about
box
the
is SpongeBob's house, guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
The box is SpongeBob's house.
That's cool.
Now, this
You're
isn't the new
gonna
release.
laugh at me, but I've never seen that cartoon.
Really?
No, that's fine. I didn't either. I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob growing up.
Really?
So.
Oh my, that's my childhood. That's like Naruto for Jeff. I mean, SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob so much so that when we were driving on road trips with my parents and I'd bother them with, are we there yet? How much time? Are we there yet? They would measure the time in SpongeBob episodes, right? Because a SpongeBob episode's like 20 minutes. So if we had an hour to go, they'd say we have 3 SpongeBobs left to go. That's how much I like SpongeBob. But, not anymore since I've grown up. But really great show.
Do you want to buy a 1-ounce Patrick coin?
Absolutely not. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay. Cool. Well,
so what you're saying is not every coin minted from every government a hit.
That's for sure.
It remains to be seen. But
let me look up real quick. Let's see if the resale market is doing anything.
But I don't know on that coin, though. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's very popular.
I mean, Nickelodeon used to bring in over 50 million viewers a month just on SpongeBob alone.
No, I believe it.
It's one of the most watched animated series in television history, based on that measure alone.
Jeez.
And yet the 1 ounces are selling for $100.
Oh. What is that? Is that completed sales?
Yes, that's completed sales. Raw. I see one sold on June 19th for $89.
What?
It has a mint release of $168. So this is an example of one
Oh
not to
my
buy.
gosh.
Yeah, pay attention
if you want to make money
online,
on
guys.
So
if you want to make money on it.
Mint selling them for $168?
Yeah, mint release. It's 168 Australian.
Yeah.
So the exchange
that
is
might be a big
little
difference at USD. But I will say a fun fact that Paramount had streaming report in 2024 that SpongeBob SquarePants accumulated approximately 27.87 billion viewing minutes on Paramount Plus last year alone. That is absurd.
Okay, so the exchange rate from 168 to US from Australian to USD is $110.
110
for the mint release on the SpongeBob. So I mean, it didn't lose that
much. It's not so bad, yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely not great.
Yeah. But for someone that just wants it, you know what I mean, to have.
Yeah.
You buy it and then put it, put it somewhere like in your office or whatever.
We already lost Kurt.
That's hilarious.
Kurt. So I transitioned the 28 billion minutes of last year watch time, and that equates to 53,287 years of SpongeBob watch time last year alone on Paramount alone. That's crazy.
It's insane.
Cool beans. All right. Well, do we have any closing remarks from either gentleman on the panel?
No, keep out for that laser privy. Keep out for there's 2 sunflower coins. I know we talk about the gold, but there's a gold and silver one out there. And I would love to hear the audience's comments below. Like, have you guys bought these coins before? Did you have a bad or good experience buying from the U.S. Mint? Are you thinking about it now and you weren't before? Like, talk to us a little bit. Let's converse back and forth. I would love to hear their opinions.
It'd be good to hear from the audience and see, what they think about what's going on in our episodes, and then also what to talk about, what they're interested in, or if they have questions that we can answer would be good.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, all we're trying to do is get really enriched information that will keep you guys informed on current events, as well as hopefully give you a good direction on, where to spend a couple bucks and how to get some really cool coins on some easy flips. Again, not investment advice, but being coin dealers that are in the industry, we see things and hear things all day that gives us a little bit of heads up on, is a coin trending? Is it not? Should it do good or should it not? So I'll tell you right now, on my opinion, I'll say it again and I'll say it again and again. That laser privy coming out is going to be a massive coin. And then obviously the sunflower is the first time anything's ever been done like that. But I mean, if it's a representation of, the flowing hair or anything like that we made in the past, it's probably going to be a pretty
Awesome.
good coin too.
Great fellas.
Well, on that note, I'll next time I see you guys, I can't wait, Charles. I'll see you on
Yeah,
Tuesday,
I'll
right?
be there. I'll be in action.
And
gonna be
It's
awesome.
going to be
Oklahoma.
interesting how we're going to coordinate that podcast there live. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It might honestly have to happen in the hotel rooms after the show on Thursday.
yeah, you think?
Or maybe really early,
I
but
think
yeah.
so, yeah. Or really
Yeah.
early, yeah.